je m'appelle Madame Metzger, and welcome. We are learning greetings today. This is Allez, Viens, level 1, chapter 1, and this is our first étape. So I'm going to follow the slides, follow along with me, and répéter or repeat. Here we go. Bonjour. Salut. Bonjour. Salut. Notice we're not pronouncing the T on salut, and there are going to be many words like that you're not going to pronounce that last letter. All right, next, after we greet somebody, we want to ask, how are they doing? And this is really easy in French. You're going to say, répétez, ça va? Ça va? Ça va? If you're doing really well, répétez, très bien. Now that R is in the back of our throats. The French R is not up here like the English R. It's way back here. You're making a little sound. Okay, that's the R. And then notice that the ES ending has an A sound. And so it's très bien. We're not pronouncing the N on bien either. It kind of gets muffled, like you're about to do the N sound, but you don't. Look at that word again in répéter words. Très bien. Très bien. That means very well. And so I will give you encouragement by saying très bien, which means very good also. All right, maybe you'd rather go with répéter super. Notice that R again is in the back of your throat. Super. Maybe you're just good. You're literally asking when you ask ça va, it's going. And so you can say it's going. So a response is ça va. Ça va. Or just well. Bien. Bien. Excellent. Répétez. Let's do the whole slide again. Ça va? Très bien. Bien. Ça va. Bien. Oh, did I forget super? Super. If you're just so-so, or not bad, or you can use one of these three expressions. Répétez. Comme ci, comme ça. I have my hand out because that's what a French person would do. The expression they would do is they would take their hand and go back and forth. Back and forth. Répétez. Comme ci, comme ça. Comme ci, comme ça. Maybe you're not bad. Pas mal. Pas mal. Notice I'm not pronouncing the S. We very rarely pronounce S's on the end. So P-A-S is pas. Répétez. Pas mal. Or maybe you're just Both means literally You can use it to respond to lots of things like, hey, do you want to go to the movies tonight? Should we have steak tonight for dinner? How you doing? So that's what both is. Répétez, both. Good. So these are our three kind of in-between responses. Let's go through them again. Répétez. Ça va? Comme ci, comme ça. Pas mal. Both. Both. Good job. Bon travail. All right. If you're not doing well, here are some different responses that you can say. Not so good. Répétez. Pas terrible. Lots of good pronunciation practice here. Again, that S is silent and the R is in the back of your throat. A new thing for you to think about is our I's in English are an E sound in French. So, pas terrible. Ble. Pas terrible. Pas terrible. Maybe it's just not going well. Répétez. Ça ne va pas. Ça ne va pas. Ça ne va pas. Or maybe it's just bad. Mal. Mal. you want to ask them how they're doing. You can ask the question again, ça va? Or you can say, and you? If you're talking to one person, somebody that you're on a first name basis with, or it's a family member, a pet, a friend, you're going to use a toi. That OI is a pretty, it's often used in French. It's the OI, wa. And so it's a toi. Notice that the ET, there's no T sound. It's an A sound. We see this on the end of words like buffet. It ends in an ET, but it's an A sound in French. Buffet is a French word. Okay, répétez. Et toi? Et toi? And the other person would tell you how they are with one of the responses. Now, if you're talking to the teacher who you are not on a first name basis with, or you want to show respect to adults that you don't know well, people out in public, or you're speaking to a group, you wouldn't say a toi, you would say a vous. Répétez. Et vous?
Please, Tony, to the office. Thank you.
Et vous? Excellent. Okay, besides asking ça va, we have lots of different ways to ask people how they are, and we do in English too. We could say, how's it going? How are you? What's up? What's new? Things like that. And so, same thing in French. So, ça va is a pretty relaxed way to ask somebody how they're doing. We can literally say, how are you? And again, depending on who the you is, we have two different expressions. So if you're talking to a person on a first name basis, a friend, a family member, somebody you're close to, you're going to use the first one. How are you? Répétez. Comment vas-tu? Notice I'm not pronouncing the T on the end of comment. I'm not pronouncing the S on the end of va. Répétez. Comment vas-tu? Now, if you're talking to somebody that you want to be formal with, you're not on a first name basis, like a teacher, a boss, or you're out in public and you need to use your manners and be formal, or you're talking to a group, we're going to switch it over to that vous, which also changes the verb. So it goes from va to allez. Now, répétez. Comment allez-vous? Comment allez-vous? Comment allez-vous? Excellent. So these are our three ways to ask somebody how they're doing. Let's do all three again. Répétez. Ça va? Comment vas-tu? Comment allez-vous? Très bien. And again, we have lots of different ways to respond to ça va, or comment vas-tu, or comment allez-vous. Let's go through those again. Let's start with our greetings. Répétez. Bonjour. Salut. Ça va? Très bien. Super. Bien. Ça va. Comme ci, comme ça. Pas mal. Bof. Pas terrible. Ça ne va pas. Mal. Et toi? Et vous? They would respond with how they're feeling, one of those expressions. And then to end the conversation, we have lots of different ways to say goodbye. Let's go through those. The first one I'm going to say very slowly, but then I'm going to say it quickly the way the French would tend to say it. So very slowly, it would be au revoir. Au revoir. Au revoir. Répétez. Au revoir. Now, the French tend to say it so quickly that it's really just a little and you don't even hear the r before the voir. So it ends up sounding more like this. Répétez. Au revoir. Au revoir. Au revoir. Au revoir. See, they kind of one of those things because they say it so fast. Sometimes you can kind of hear the r before the voir and sometimes not so much. Au revoir. Au revoir. One of those. All right. You can also say salut. So salut is hi and bye, kind of like ciao, which the French say also, but that's Italian for hi and bye. All right. So salut. A bientôt. Notice we're not pronouncing the T on the end, so it ends in an O sound. A bientôt. See you soon. See you tomorrow. À demain. À demain. See you later. À tout à l'heure. À tout à l'heure. À tout à l'heure. Good. Let's go through those goodbyes again. Au revoir. Salut. À bientôt. À demain. À tout à l'heure. Excellent. Excellent. If you need to stop now and go back through any of those slides, please do so. We're going to move on to the next part of our conversation. Next, we want to know what somebody's name is. And literally in French, the words are, how do you call yourself? I call myself, and your name. However, we don't say it that way in English. So the translation is, what's your name? My name is. Here we go. What's your name? Comment t'appelles-tu? Comment t'appelles-tu? Comment t'appelles-tu? Comment t'appelles-tu? Comment t'appelles-tu? All right. My name is. So the word for I call myself, I is je. An E in French is like somebody is punching you in the stomach. So it's je. Répétez. Je. Je. Good. Je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. And your name. Répétez. Comment t'appelles-tu? Je m'appelle Madame Metzger. Excellent. Redo this slide as many times as you need to. All right, so when you put it together, you've got a greeting. How are you? A response. And you, a response. What's your name? My name is. Again, you can ask them, what's your name? Or you can say, and you. They'll tell you and give some sort of goodbye. Take a moment to pause on that and have a conversation with a friend. When I ask you to have a conversation with a friend, if you are in class, you can turn and look to your partner and practice. If you are at home, I'm going to have you have each other's phone numbers and practice these conversations. So you can go through the slides and say, hey, I'm on this certain slide. Let's practice. You've got to practice. All right. Next, we're going to keep going in our conversation. The next question is, who is somebody? So you're sitting in the classroom and you're looking around and you see somebody you don't recognize. Who's that? And as you can see, it's up here on the top of the slide. Trying to pronounce this can be difficult when you're looking at it. And so it's literally pronounced like the parentheses, qui est. Qui est. That's how you pronounce that question on the top. Répétez. Qui est? Qui est? When you're pointing to somebody and you're pointing out what something is or who something is, you're going to say, it is, and respond. It is say, right here as it begins. Say. Répétez. Say. Not cest. No. It is say. Say. Okay, here we go. So if it's the teacher, répétez, c'est le professeur. C'est le professeur. If it's a man, that's all you know. Répétez, c'est un homme. Un homme. H's exist in the French language, but they're never pronounced. They do not pronounce the H sound. So go right to the vowel. Répétez, c'est un homme. I think this is where we get the word homie, if you look at it. All right, next, maybe it's Mr. and the last name, like Mr. Slivka. Répétez, c'est Monsieur Slivka. C'est Monsieur Slivka. Excellent. Maybe it's a woman, an adult woman. Répétez. C'est une femme. C'est une femme. If you know the teacher's name or the adult's name and it's a woman, say Madame Metzger. Say Madame Metzger. Or if it's an adult woman who is not married, it's going to be Mademoiselle. Or if it's a younger woman, like a teenager. Répétez, c'est Mademoiselle Bowser. C'est Mademoiselle Bowser. If it's a student and it's a male student, répétez, c'est un élève. C'est un élève. Un élève. If it's a female student, we have to switch over. C'est une élève. C'est une élève. Awesome. So now you have some simple ways to answer the question, who is that, and ways to identify who people are. All right, a couple more vocabulary questions or vocabulary that we want to fit in. The word for boy, répétez, un garçon. Un garçon. Is that a boy? Say un garçon. Yes. What's his name? Oui. Il s'appelle comment? Il s'appelle comment? What's his name? Il s'appelle comment? His name is Boris. Il s'appelle Boris. Il s'appelle Boris. Good. Is that a girl? C'est une fille. Fille. Now, we're going to see lots of French words with this combination. If you look at the word fille, I-L-L. When you see I-L-L, it's a y sound. So, fille. Répétez, une fille. C'est une fille. Excellent. Elle, she calls herself, literally. We would say her name is, but she calls herself. She is elle. He is il. She is elle. Il, elle. So what's her name? Elle s'appelle comment? Elle s'appelle comment? Her name is Sophie. Elle s'appelle Sophie. Elle s'appelle Sophie. More ways to identify who people are. A boy, a girl, his name is, her name is. Good job. Bon travail. So then we put it all together, and this is where you're going to have your communication partner. You're going to greet your partner. You're going to ask them how they are and respond with how you are today. You're going to say, and you, so they can tell you how they are. What's your name? My name is. Either repeat the question, what's your name, or ask, and you. They'll give you their name. Point to somebody and say, who's that? Now, if you're doing this remotely and you're on the phone, obviously you can just say anything. It wouldn't matter. But if you're in the classroom, if you point to a girl student, you want to make sure you're saying that it's a girl student or her name is. If you're pointing to the teacher, you can say lots of different things like it's the teacher, it's Madame Metzger, it's a woman, her name is Madame Metzger. So we have lots of choices there. And then, of course, we want to give one of our goodbyes. So take a moment to pause the slide and practice your conversation. Next, we want to talk a little bit about culture and how the French greet each other. Here in the United States, we wave, we say hi, we can hug is very common. We can handshake. In France, they never hug. They just do not hug. In fact, you kind of miss it when you're over there for a while. But instead, they do what's called la bise. La bise. And so when they greet each other, they get close and they put their arms out and they go up. And as you can see on the pictures, sometimes they're just slightly brushing cheeks. Sometimes they don't even hardly touch. And then sometimes they really touch cheeks and they go back and forth. Where I lived in France, we did this 3 times. Each kind of region has their own amount of times that they kiss the air, and it's quite rude if you don't make the kiss sound. So the fewest times will be 2. So you'll lean forward, kiss, back up, go to the other side of their face, and kiss the air again. So you're not actually kissing them. And then, like I said, sometimes it's again for a 3rd, and sometimes it's again for the 4th. And that is how they greet each other. It's called la bise. As you can see here, it is quite interesting to us since we don't do this. How many times do they go back and forth for la bise? Now, it says here 1 time, but that is, I've never met anybody that does 1 time. And as you can see, most of France, this is France. If you weren't sure of that, this is what it looks like. Its nickname is the hexagon. You can see why. That they either do it 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times. All right, the next step in our conversation is asking age and telling your age. So you can do this a couple of different ways. Asking questions, there's always a couple different ways to do it. I find myself using both, so I wanted to present both ways to you. But to say, how old are you? Literally, you're asking, you have which age, or which age have you? We don't say that though. We say, how old are you? So répétez. Tu as, don't pronounce that S. Tu as quel âge? Tu as quel âge? Tu as quel âge? Or quel âge as-tu? Quel âge as-tu? Excellent. Now, to say your age, you're going to start out with literally, I have your number of years. I have 14 years. I have 15 years. Of course, that's not what we say in English. We say, I'm 15. I am 16. But in French, it's a have expression. I have so many years. So you're probably between 14 and 18 years old. And our next lesson is indeed numbers, but I'm going to go through the 14 to 18 years old so you can at least say that right now. Répétez, j'ai 14 ans. The word for years, don't pronounce the S, and the AN is an an. Répétez, j'ai 14 ans. J'ai 15 ans. J'ai 16 ans. J'ai 17 ans. J'ai 18 ans. Tu as quel âge? Quel âge as-tu? Great. Excellent. Now we can add that into our conversations. So, what do we have going on here? We have first a greeting. How are you, or how's it going? Some type of answer to that. And you and your partner answers it. What's your name? My name is, and you, or repeat the question. How old are you? Give your age. And then ask your partner the same question, or say, and you, and they'll give you their age. Who's that? Point to someone in the room, or just pretend and say who somebody is. Thank them. That's one thing we haven't done yet. How do you thank somebody there at the bottom? Répétez, merci. It's a good opportunity to pronounce that R in the back of our throats again. Remember, the R in the back of your throat is a so répétez, merci, merci. Good. And give one of your goodbyes. If you're struggling with any of these steps of the conversation, go back and répétez, répétez, répétez. Look at those words and répétez as many times as you need. If you want to click on these are some different songs on YouTube. It'll take you to help you with some of these things. And one of your first quizzes will be an oral quiz where this is the only thing you'll see. And you'll have to have this conversation either with me or with a partner, preferably with a partner in class. And so you'll have to know how to ask and answer all of these different things. So I want you to practice with your partners. Now, if you're looking at this at home and you don't have a partner yet, just practice with yourself. Be your own partner until you get one in class. All right. Well, merci beaucoup. I've enjoyed teaching you this lesson today. And a bientôt. See you soon.